First layer is on. I am so bloody excited to see what this looks like when it's all dry. Hopefully, it's all good. Hopefully there's not too much dust in it. I've had to move the compressor out, to be fair. Hopefully we don't have any issues with dust, but by the looks of it, so far, so good. So the E36 is now all ready to be painted, the actual shell and the door shuts and all that sort of stuff. So I've masked it all up. I've used obviously all the masking paper and the masking tape to mark up all the screen and the doors and stuff like that, and done my best with some of the holes in the doors, obviously where the doors have come up. I've used just a bed sheet for the engine bay just because why not, it's lying around. Hopefully it doesn't blow off when it's a bit windy. Arches and stuff I've not gone too mad with because I'm going to underbody seal the arches and that. It's literally just a case of covering up the wheels. Obviously the wheels are going to get replaced at some point, so I'm not too bothered about paint being on there. But I've took the windscreen out just so I can get to these areas properly and give this a nice coat of paint. I'm not too bothered about this sort of stuff because obviously it's going to be covered by like the windscreen surrounds and the wings obviously. But obviously it's just a case of making it look a little bit prettier than what it is. Obviously masking paper does not look pretty at all. It's a pretty shoddy job, but it doesn't really need to look pretty, to be fair. It's just so it covers the inside of the car and not the paint. Well, it's just to cover the inside of the car so we don't get paint in the inside of the car. But I still need to panel wipe it all down. As you can see, it's fairly dusty in that. So this just literally just a case of getting all that cleaned up now. Like I say, back windscreen's all masked up. Like I said, not the prettiest of jobs, but definitely does the job to some level. Hopefully the wind doesn't blow the arches and stuff like that off, because otherwise that will be a nightmare. We'll have paint everywhere. But it's more so the interior of the car that I'm a bit more worried about. But that is the car before. Looking forward to getting some paint on this now. Hopefully we've got enough left. Probably got about 400 to 500 mils. So hopefully that should be enough just to get the rest of this car done. Not going to go too mad on the wings and obviously the windscreen surround and the door shuts. It's mainly just the roof and the quarter panels. So yeah, let's get all this dusted off, get it all panel wiped down, and we'll get it ready to put some paint on. One of the first things I needed to do on the car was to go around it with the panel wipe. So this is obviously to remove as much dust as I possibly could. Obviously, whilst the car was outside before I put the gazebo up, there was a bit more light on it, so I could see exactly what I was doing. As soon as the gazebo up, obviously it reduces some of the light. So as long as the majority of the dust was off, that was ideal, because obviously as soon as I get around to painting it, I'm going to go back around it with a panel wipe just to make sure everything is completely removed. I've got a slight little issue with the paint. I've not got much left. I think I've got about 400 mils and I've got to do the rest of the shells. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we've got enough. Otherwise it means I'm going to have to go out tomorrow and get some fresh paint made up, which I need anyway for the spoilers and the mirrors, because I haven't ordered the mirrors yet. But I'm hoping that the colour difference is not going to be off, because this paint is well over a year old. And I don't know if you remember, it says on the tin to use it before a certain date, and it's well gone past that. So hopefully we've got enough. Let's have a look to see how much we got, and let's see how much this will get coverage on the actual car. I might have to go a little bit careful in some areas and not to use too much, because I kind of want to get this done tonight and not have to worry about it. So this is the amount of paint I've got left. What I'm going to do is pour it into the jug and work out how much we've got and see if that will cover the rest of the car. Fingers crossed. What I'll do, let's give this a bit of a clean up. Let's work out how much we've actually got left. So we've got about just under 500 mils. So I might get rid of 90 mils, do 400, then we can almost use the last bit on the last lot. So if I knock this back down to 400, and then we'll use whatever's left on the rest of the car, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll be enough. So the issue I was having is when I was pouring it, obviously because it's clear and it's black, I was trying to pour it back in to get it back down to 400, but I can't see exactly where 400 is now. So we just have to send it on and hope for the best. So what I'll do, just fill this up, and then we'll fill up the rest with some thinners, and hopefully this will be enough to cover the whole car. I'm sure it will, but I just want to get it done now, so I'm hoping that this is enough. Otherwise, like I say, I'm going to have to use a fresh batch of paint tomorrow to do another layer on the car, which I don't really want to do, because obviously this paint's all the same, and if I get another lot made up, it might not necessarily be like the exactly same colour, so you could see a colour difference. And obviously where I've done the doors in this paint, yeah, it's just not going to look ideal. Obviously, it don't look perfect anyway, but I want it to be as good as I possibly can. So, yeah, I'm hoping I can get this done in a oneer tonight and get this all finished off, but we'll see. It's to the brim. Let's give a little mixer with my mixing tool. People are going to be fuming in the comments. That's not how you mix it. That's not how you mess about with paint. You should be wearing a mask. You should be wearing glasses. There's probably a lot of things I should be doing that I'm not. But as I always say, we'll send it on and hope for the best. That's my life motto. And I'm hoping we can send it on tonight and hope for the best. Because like I say, I want to get this car done. I've obviously got to get new paint anyway because I've got to do the spoiler and the mirrors and stuff, but I want to get the actual car done. Because I need to get all this all fitted up this weekend, get it all sanded, and then it's literally a case of just sorting out all the little bits really, like the seats and all that sort of stuff. Right, I think that's enough. Such a lovely colour as well, by the way. The Santorini black in the sun looks mega, even though it's really orange peely on most of these parts, but it still looks sick. Right, let's try not to spill any of this. Let's go get it and hope for the best. Send it on. See there, I'm going around the car with the panel wipe again just to make sure that all the dust is fully removed before I paint the shell. The car has been left outside for a little bit in between sorting the paintwork out, so more dust has been settled on the panels, especially the roof. So it's just a case of getting as much of that off as I possibly could before painting it. Now the chances of getting dust in the paint when painting it are going to be quite high. Obviously I'm exposed to the elements, the gazebo is not fully closed in, so there's bound to be some dust which I'll have to wet sand and polish after the painting is all done. But here I am cracking on with the paintwork, getting the first layer of Santorini black on the shell of the E36. Right, so unfortunately, as expected, I've run out of paint, so I'm going to have to get some more paint and then do a layer or two. It's quite a big area to cover, so I think 500mm was definitely not going to be enough. As you can see, it's proper patchy and stuff, so I can't leave it like that. So I've done all the door shuts and that though. The door shuts actually look really good. It's just obviously a case of sorting out the quarter panel and the roof. Charlie did say as soon as you paint it, it's worth just getting the lacquer straight on, but obviously in this case, because I haven't got enough paint, I'm just going to send it on and hope for the best and get some paint tomorrow and crack on. But the actual chassis of the car, or the chassis legs of the car, are all done. I don't know if you call them the chassis legs, to be fair. I think it's just, actually it's definitely not the chassis legs because they'd be underneath. It's more like the actual wing supports are done, and then all of this is sorted out now, so that's all looking good. Considering that was all corroded and stuff, that's looking a lot better, and hopefully it's all protected to prevent it from happening in the future. But like I say, just got to get some more paint for it, and then I can crack on tomorrow properly and get it all done. But like I said, door shuts actually look really nice because I only gave them sort of a light sand down, and they weren't too bad, to be fair. But obviously it's just a case of getting all of this done. So let's go get some paint tomorrow and then we can crack on and get this car done. It's a day later. I've been out and bought some Santorini black, so I've got a litre of this, and as you can see we've got a decent expiry date. So we've currently got paintwork on this car that expires a year ago, and we've currently got some fresh paint which expires a year from now. Actually, that's 9th of May 2025, that's today, so that's obviously today's date. Unsure then, so hopefully it's actually alright. Hopefully the paintwork on the other one's alright. Obviously that's when it was made, not when it expires. Ideal, just realised that. So yeah, litre of paint copped. It's time to get this on this car. All I need to do is another sort of layer or two on all the door shuts, on the wing surrounds, on the quarters and all that sort of stuff, and then I can crack on with getting it lacquered. Well, obviously it's quite windy today and stuff like that. I need to sort out some of this tape work, sort out some of the masking and that, because I don't want any paint inside. But yeah, let's crack on and get this on the car, and then we'll get it all lacquered up. Might have noticed I've had a bit of a haircut, so I almost look bald. So the paint is copped. I've got a litre, as I've said. I'm hoping we're not going to have too many issues with a colour difference, but as always, send it on, hope for the best. What I'm going to do is use 400 mils of this. Just need to find a flathead quick. If you've got one, probably not. What I'm going to do is use 400 mils of this and hope that that should be enough. So I've had the paint done at all parts. I'll tell you what, great bunch of guys down there. I know Ian from my days at Kenny's, so it's always handy having a contact, but yeah, really helpful. They've said with the orange peel, it's to do with the pressure of the compressor, so I need to up the pressure when doing the lacquer, and hopefully we have a little bit less orange peel, which means there'll be a little bit less sanding, but I've got a lot of sanding to do because now this is all dried out, it is looking hella peely. So let's get this open and then we can crack on and get the paint on. Let's send that again. See what this one's saying. Oh yes. I've done 400 mils of paint to 200 mils of thinner. Let's get this on, let's get this done. It sounds like the gazebo is about to fly off out there. That'll be the next thing to do, the van. All right, let's send it on. So after what feels like the 10th time of putting the gazebo up, it is now back up, ready for the next layer of paint on the car. It's not an ideal setup, as you can see, it's quite windy in there, so there is a lot of dust flying around, but it's definitely a lot better than doing it completely exposed to the elements. The next steps I had to do before I could paint it was just finish off some of the taping and the masking, and then it was all ready to get the paint on. So safety first and all that, I've got the mask on, got the gloves on. Got the gloves on, got the glasses on, well, and I've got the gloves on to be fair, so it's time to get this absolutely sent on now. The paint's a little bit different from the old one. I'll show you the bottle in a bit, or the can in a bit. This one says PFX something, and the other one says something base coat, so hopefully it is the same paint. Otherwise it's going to look a little bit odd, especially compared to the doors and stuff. So yeah, I'm a little bit more prepped up today. Also, it was the same yesterday, but yeah, let's get this done, get it lacquered, and then on Sunday I'll get it fitted up and I can get it sent round. Now I think there'll be a big list of things that I need to get for it, because in the process of taking everything off I've probably lost a fair bit, but yeah, let's get it done. So I'm actually using a little bit more paint than I first thought, so I've already gone through the first lot of paint in the new batch. So I'm going to put another 200 mils of paint in this to 100 mils of thinner, and hopefully that'll be enough. I just basically want to make sure there's a good coverage of paint on there. So I appreciate it's probably 1 or 2 coats too many, but hopefully it will look better in the long run. So yeah, one more refill, one more coat, and then we can get the lacquer on. So both layers, well I say both layers, all of the layers of paint are now on, because I've done probably about 3 or 4, maybe 2 too many, but the paintwork is now done. It's literally just time to lacquer it. So I've let it dry for a bit, hopefully it's enough time to get the lacquer on. I think there's still some areas that are drying, because I think I finished this side after, but as you can see, it's starting to look quite nice to be fair, and then hopefully also with the lacquer out in the sun, this is going to look absolutely epic. Obviously the only thing I'm worried about is making sure the paint is exactly the same as the rest, because obviously I've done all of the doors and the bumpers and the bonnet and all that sort of stuff in the old paint, and obviously this is fresh, so hopefully there's not a colour difference, but it's what it is, it's one of them. It's all part of it. With the lacquer I'm going to change the pressure on the compressor slightly, and hopefully that helps. Because we want it less orange peely as we possibly can. Obviously spoke to the guys down at All Parts and they said change the pressure, and that hopefully should help, and obviously that'll mean there'll be less sanding to do. So let's get the lacquer all set up and then we'll get that sent straight on the car. We'll do 2 to 3 layers of that, and then that'll be the car done. Right, so the car is all done. I've painted it, I've lacquered it. See, it's looking very, very shiny. Very orange peely at the same time, as to be expected, but it's definitely a lot better with matey's recommendation of changing the pressure on the compressor. And I've got a fat run mark in here, which is not ideal, as you can see. So yeah, decent amount of flat and polishing for that, because that is absolutely horrendous. But what I'm going to do is take the gazebo down and then pull this out into the sun, because I've left it here for about an hour now, so it's all sort of touch dry, but I basically just want to leave it outside in the sun to fully dry. And I've done all like I don't know what these are called, to be fair. I keep calling them the chassis legs, but they're not. It's just the where the wings are, and I've done all the door shuts and stuff. So far, so good. I'm actually really happy with that. It's definitely a better result compared to the doors and stuff, just because of that change in pressure. But yeah, as you can see, it's just time to get the gazebo down. I could probably take off all of the tape and stuff, and then we'll just literally just let it dry. This is where you can see it's very orange peely and stuff, so obviously this all needs to be flattened down tomorrow or Sunday and then polished up. But yeah, other than that, I'm really happy with the result. A few run marks to sort out and stuff, and some dust to get rid of, but that looks so good. I'm buzzing. So let's get the gazebo down, let's get this car out in the sun, then we can we can take off all of the masking paper and the tape, and then we can let it cure fully, and we'll see what it's like in this lovely sun. So this is what the car looks like outside. It's actually looking really good. It's definitely a better result compared to the doors. Obviously I've changed the pressure on the compressor, so it's definitely less orange peely compared to what the doors are like. There's still some areas it's not perfect. We've got some dust on the roof and stuff like that, and there's a couple of runs in the quarter panel, which is not ideal. Like you say, it's very orange peely, and there's definitely a big run there which needs to be sanded out. But I'm actually really happy with that. It's just time to get off all of the tape and the masking paper. Already got rid of the sheet from the bonnet, but the door shuts and that are looking awesome. This is what it looks like from side view. I'm actually really happy with it. It's going to look absolutely mad when this car's all done. It's finally starting to have some hope that this car will be complete very soon. Like I say, this is where it's quite orange peely and stuff, so we'll get all that sanded down and polished up tomorrow or Sunday. It's definitely less orange peely compared to the doors and stuff, but obviously still not ideal, but I reckon I could do a nice job on that to get it nice and flush. Door shuts all looking good. I'm well happy with that. What I'll do now, and as the whatever you call these, can never remember what you call them, but I'll just keep calling it the chassis legs when they're not. But let's get all this tape off, and then we can crack on, leave it out in the dry, and then tomorrow we'll get it all sanded down and polished.